They built cities long before the Romans laid their stones. They invented plumbing systems, while most of the world still lived in huts. They predicted eclipses with astounding precision, created the concept of zero, and mapped the stars when others still hunted with spears. And yet, you've probably never heard their names. These civilizations, brilliant, powerful, and advanced, were forgotten by history or deliberately erased. But without them, the modern world simply wouldn't exist. Most of us are taught that civilization started in a few famous places: Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. But this version of history is incomplete. It's a story shaped by who told it and what they chose to leave out. Across continents and thousands of years, entire societies rose to heights of innovation and culture, only to vanish from memory. Their achievements live on in our daily lives, in the way we measure time, build our cities, write our numbers, but their names have been lost to the dust of forgotten empires. Let's begin in the cradle of civilization, the land once called Sumer in modern-day Iraq. Over 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians created the world's first known writing system, called cuneiform. This was no small feat. It was the foundation for recorded history itself, but their gifts didn't stop there. They gave us the 60-minute hour and the 360-degree circle that still guide clocks and compasses today. And most importantly, they introduced the concept of zero, an idea so revolutionary that it took centuries for others to understand its power. These inventions laid the groundwork for mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, yet the name Sumer rarely features in textbooks or popular history. Travel east to the Indus Valley, where nearly 5,000 years ago, a civilization flourished in what is now Pakistan and northwest India. Cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were marvels of urban planning, with perfectly laid out streets in grid patterns, sophisticated drainage and sewage systems, and standardized baked bricks. Their advanced water management made many later European cities look primitive. The Indus people traded with Mesopotamia and developed a complex script that remains undeciphered to this day. Unlike the empires that followed, there is no evidence they had kings or waged wars. Instead, they appeared to have lived in relative peace and harmony. Then, mysteriously, the civilization collapsed. Was it climate change, disease, invasion? Scholars still debate. All that remains are ruins hidden beneath centuries of earth and silence. Next, journey south to West Africa, to the legendary city of Timbuktu, a jewel of the Mali Empire during the 14th century. Far from the European-centric narratives, Timbuktu was a global intellectual powerhouse. Its libraries contained hundreds of thousands of manuscripts on astronomy, medicine, mathematics, philosophy, and law, written by some of the brightest minds in the world. Its ruler, Mansa Musa, remains the richest person in history, whose famous pilgrimage to Mecca involved giving away so much gold it disrupted economies for years. Africa was never the dark continent, as colonial powers would claim. It was wealthy, cultured, and highly sophisticated, until colonialism and racism rewrote the story, turning this beacon of knowledge into a mere footnote. Today, Timbuktu is often used as a joke for the middle of nowhere, but its true legacy is one of global importance. In what is now the United States, the Mississippian culture built Cahokia, a city that rivaled medieval London in size and complexity. Cahokia featured massive earthen mounds used for ceremonial and political purposes, extensive trade routes, and astronomical alignments that reflect deep knowledge of the cosmos. Most Americans have never heard of Cahokia, much less its significance. Again, this omission is no accident. History is often written by conquerors, and many indigenous civilizations were deliberately erased from public memory. Travel to Southeast Asia, and you find the Khmer Empire, whose capital city of Angkor was the largest city on Earth in the 12th century, larger than Paris or London at the time. The temples of Angkor Wat remain one of the world's greatest architectural marvels. Built without concrete or modern machinery, their design aligns perfectly with celestial events, reflecting a profound understanding of astronomy and spirituality. Their water management system was so advanced it provided irrigation for vast rice fields and protected the city from floods and droughts, inspiring modern engineers even today. Yet by the 15th century, Angkor fell into decline, swallowed by jungle, and nearly forgotten. Why were these civilizations forgotten? Sometimes it was the unstoppable force of war, disease, or environmental change. Other times, their stories were erased on purpose by colonial powers rewriting history to justify conquest and domination. But the ideas these civilizations created live on, hidden in plain sight, in how we measure time, build cities, govern nations, and even in the numbers we use every day. The modern world is not the product of a single place or people. It is a mosaic, built over millennia by thousands of hands across continents. When you check the time on your watch, or follow a grid of city streets, or use the concept of zero in math, you are walking through the echoes of forgotten empires. These civilizations may have fallen, but their innovations survive, woven into the fabric of our daily lives. They remind us that history is never just what we are taught. It is what we remember, what we choose to honor, and sometimes, what we forget. You are living in a world shaped by these lost civilizations, and every day you carry a piece of their legacy with you, whether you know it or not.